Tonight we're going to start tearing apart the International KB frame, getting it ready to customize with the Nova front subframe. There's a lot of rivets and stuff like that to get off all the old suspension and all that stuff. So I'll be grinding the rivets down and then using an air hammer to pop them out. We do have a set of torches here, but I don't want to gouge up the frame or make marks on the frame that don't need to be there. So I'm going to try and do my best with the grinder and the air hammer to pop them out. And there's a lot of other stuff, but I'll give you a quick run around of what we're doing and then we'll get to it. This section of frame right here is getting cut out, and that's where we're going to graft it in. But I still need to get rid of all these rivets and take off all this suspension and the original shocks here. As you can see, they're quite different than any shocks anybody else has ever seen. But anyways, get rid of all that stuff. The transmission, get rid of that. The brakes, all that stuff, all that's got to come off. I'm assuming this was probably a battery box of some sort at some point. That's coming out. The steps and the rails, those are coming out. I'm going to leave the steps together and just get rid of the rivets and pop them out. That way they stay together for now, just less mess. Also, again, taking off all that rear suspension you see right there. Oh yeah, I should probably clean up that oil mess. When I took it apart and the rear end was just hanging there and I let it sit down, and well, the pinion seal was definitely bad. But that's what you get for a 75-year-old truck that's been sitting for God knows how long. So again, those are the rear shocks right there. Look like grasshopper legs. I don't even know what they call those. I know they're obviously hydraulic shocks, but all that's got to come off. And this transmission cross member right here, that will come off eventually, but I'm not taking that off yet, just to keep the frame where it needs to be so it don't spread apart any. I'll be welding like just some braces across the frame here to hold it where it is before I take that out. So that's going to stay, but pretty much everything you see is coming off. If there's a rivet on the suspension and stuff, it's coming off. All these braces right here, I'm going to keep on. Those will probably just stay there forever. You know, I want to keep it as stock as I can. So all that stuff staying, and that will keep the frame sitting the way it should be sitting. So let's get to it. As you can see, I've taken off the steps. I've taken off everything I want to take off except for the original transmission cross member. Like I said, I want to weld a brace across. But I think I'm going to do that in the whole video of making the frame. As you can see, there's tires sitting underneath it, so that is the Nova subframe, which I have not taken apart yet or anything, but that's where it's got to sit to put the frame on there. So as you can see, what I was saying in my last video, where that's the flat of the frame and that's the flat of the frame right there. So that flat is going to be attached to that flat. So to get the truck low, you can see how that raises up, which means that that curve is going to come up over here. And what that's going to do is when you raise the suspension up high like that, the frame's sitting lower on the flat part where the cab goes, so that means the cab's going to sit lower. So that's how we're going to get the front low anyways, and I guess it's time to start building a frame now and start hacking up and cutting up and all that stuff. Alright guys, have a good night.